which is great. And just to let you know, so moving forward, that'll be on the information for you, so it'll be there. So good evening, everybody, and welcome. There's just one thing, as you can see, that tonight is the online safety information evening, and we're going to take you through as much as we can in this way, in this very important information about keeping our young people safe and your children safe online. If you've got any information, any questions at any time, just pop it in the chat, and myself and Mr. Anderson, who's sat to my left off screen, who's actually produced and prepared all this with me, will answer those. But what we'll probably try and do is we'll keep half an eye on it. He'll nip out every now and again and check on his computer ready to chat. He'll answer them as we go through. Or what we will do is when we get to the end, we'll have a quick look, answer them. And if we get to the end of the information even, and you've got loads of questions, at that point, you'll be able to unmute yourselves, ask any questions as well as you want. What I'll do at that bit is I will end the recording. So we'll go from there. So as we are a Catholic community, and we welcome all different parents from different year groups, and also some of our prospective parents, well, not really our prospective parents, our year 7 starting their parents that will be joining us. We really welcome you this evening. So we start, as we always do, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, Lord, we gather together, as always, with your community, gather to look after the young people who are either our children, our loved ones, or our students. We ask that your Spirit will always guide us so we can keep them safe, now and forever. We offer this, all our prayers, through Christ our Lord. Amen. St. Ambrose, pray for us, and Blessed Edmund Rice, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Right, so we've got loads of information for you, and we're going to get on with it, because we want to keep you all night, but on the same token, we want to make sure we give you all the information that we can do. So, first and foremost, and hopefully you can see my screen. The first thing we've got here is, why is this so important? Well, I think online safety in general is a huge priority here for us at St. Ambrose, but it's also a huge priority for everyone. And I think you can imagine, as you remember only last week, the manifestos from the leading parties about what they were going to do about mobile phones and about online use and about keeping our young people safe. It was such a huge and important event. So here at St. Ambrose, many of you be aware that we cover so much in our personal development, both in the PSHE programme, both in assemblies, in form time, and our general information around the building. And we'll share that as we go through. The important thing really is here, I'm going to give you loads of information. And a little bit of a warning for all is, this is not to scare you or to depress you or to make you feel, oh my word, what am I going to do? It's actually to say, look, we're all here together. This technology's here. It's only going to get more. The most important thing is, how can we help our young people so that they make good decisions and they're informed? So with that in mind, get ready for a lot of information, but anytime, if it's too quick or whatever, pop it in the chat, and myself and Mr. Anderson will come back to you. So the first thing here is, let's be honest, this is a scary age. There are lots of social media apps and other things that cause a problem. So here we go. Just so we're clear, it has become hugely significant concern, and the internet use of young people has gone. And so last year's Ofcom there, 89% of children aged 8 to 17 are on social media platforms, 74% accessing the internet daily. And this increased online presence heightens the exposed potential danger. I often say to the young people here, and obviously to parents, forgive me if I'm repeating those that have been on one of these evenings previously from me on the last 8 years, it's about keeping your young people safe. In the same way, we're guiding them through these complexities. In the same way, many of you now, and I can really feel this in my own position, allowing our young people to go out to the shops and to do this, etc. You tread carefully, we plan it, we talk about it. The same really needs to be about their activity online. And hopefully, if nothing else, this is going to give you a peace of mind tonight, because that's what it's here. And the good news is, if there is any questions, there's loads of links and there's loads of opportunities for you can ask us at school, and we'll do our best to help. So what is tonight really all about? Well, those sort of 3 aims there for you. It's really to say that as parents and carers, you need to be really aware. I'm not going to name names. I never would. As people here, parents know me well. I never name names, but I have had parents before saying, oh, I didn't realise, or I didn't know. I trusted him. I'm sure he wouldn't do that. we have to be really honest and say that young people, and if there are any young people, boys listening in, this is really for your parents. But if you are listening in, it's about actually, we do trust you, but we need to also control that sense of your inquisitive nature that you're going to be going through. So as I say there, it's about different ages at different times. We want the boys to feel confident, supportive, empowered, but more importantly, we want you to lead that so you know your children are safe online. And then this training session will hopefully help you for this moving forward. Forgive me, there's no way that I could differentiate tonight's training or myself and Mr. Anderson. So we're going to give you everything. There'll be people on here. Can you just make sure you keep yourself muted, please? We'll be on here that are far more experienced than us, but ultimately, probably not Mr. Anderson, but me. Hopefully, those that are here can understand why we're sharing. So the focus are going to be on these, really. We've got social media, online gaming, mental health, your parental controls, and then a deep dive issue into sextortion, which I know many of you will have come across in the media recently, and it's something really quite significant, and it's something that has impacted some of our boys here at St Ambrose. What we're not going to do is go through loads of information about particularly antivirus and other things like that, but there's so much information on our website and other places you can do that. But tonight, because of time, we're going to focus on these prevailing issues. So here we go. The benefits of the internet. I think all of these are self-explanatory. You've got everything. Those of you were actually able to, and there's a little quote to her later, Natasha Devon, we had her in last year. She spoke about how the internet has revolutionized everything, and it absolutely has. I think back to my school days and how lessons were. This has really helped our learning, and you know how much we use it at St Ambrose. In most of our lessons, a teacher will have probably accessed the internet for a clip or something to show or to really engage our young people. Now, obviously, with that, we know that social media has come along, and it's hugely popular, and it's a great tool when used correctly to help and to help us. It can be used for so much. Yeah. Again, if I ask you to mute yourselves, please, that would be great. It's actually so many opportunities to keep in touch with people, build confidence, self-esteem, but they come with risks. And this is, again, not to shame anybody, but it's really important as parents, you are checking your children and what they are, because obviously, and what they're on. Social media comes with the following. Actually, children are never, if children have never actually met somebody, they might learn other people they haven't met before on there. They can learn how to deal with different things, but it can also aim and help them, but it can also cause them a problem. So it's really important that we help the young people to use social media in a positive way. Just a bit of stats for us. 86% of 18 to 29-year-olds use social media platforms. Another 80% of people aged 30 to 49 use 64%, 64% of that, and people aged 50 to 64 are on social media. Even 1/3 of adults over 65 use it, compared to just 10% in 2010. Now, you'll know, as I know, how much people are using the internet and phones to get around. But the biggest concerning thing is a survey of 97% of teenagers between 13 and 17 have at least one account. So you can see that virtually every child at this school will have a social media account. The problem you've got, and we've got, is many of those are actually therefore breaking the law, because some of those social media accounts are aimed and aged appropriately for older students. Just to put in context for you, here's a little bit of a shot really about who has ownership of phones and what they've got: laptop, tablets, and not just phones, talking about devices. And you can see straight away at the top, any kind of mobile phone, 97.9% of people have. So in the Britain today, virtually everybody has a mobile phone. Now, how that impacts us in terms of social media is this. So chat and messaging makes up 93%, social networks is 92.7%, and then you can go through right down to games, travel, etc. Now, the reason we're actually putting this on is because what it means and how social media is informing our young people. And again, this is not just to worry you, but it's something that can actually be a positive if used correctly. Now, I mentioned Natasha only a few moments ago. Now, Natasha spoke to us last year, and I've used her resources and shared them for the students this year. but it's something to say here in her quote. Of course, it would be remiss of me to suggest that online social networking doesn't have its positives. For young people who feel isolated because of their taste, sexuality, race, or religion, an online community can help them to feel accepted and valued. And I think it's really important that we take that moment to say the good that can come. She actually gave an example of herself growing up and how isolated she felt in a certain part of southern England, and she couldn't actually explore. And because of the fact she was able to use, when the internet came along, she could start blogs. She's having a huge difference and making a huge difference around the world because of technology. Now, the important thing is that we look for how we can use Natasha and others to actually be our inspiration. And she actually gave an example of how she feels it's done a great thing. So you can actually click on that link from her, which she gave us last year, which is about body image and mental health, and how actually as parents, we should encourage the use of the internet and others, but we must also model. Now, this goes out for any of us who in the evenings maybe get our phones out and scroll through it and look through it when our young people are present. And she said that actually as a family, if we can set the parameters and the focus point, and she used what she called a digital sunset is what she said. And actually then she said about having a moment about an hour before bed or going, that the whole house switches off devices and converse and talk. Because if we're still thinking about work or emailing or other things, we're not giving our students, our children, that quality time. An awful lot there, and we'll share more another time, but not tonight. Next things, moving on. Here's just information for you about Internet Matters. A lot of our information came, myself, Mr. Anderson, by being led by education about Internet for All. So a lot of them point to these. So you can really look at the positive things that can help, because the last thing we wanted to do was actually scare. Now I'm going to probably scare moving forward, but I do always want to say about the fact there is good things there and how important it can be for the internet to help young people. Dare I say it, even our online safety that's been given to us and our online counselling through COOF is using the internet. So there's a lot of positive that can be done. So making sure they learn about perspectives, about where they're going. There's so much that happens and can be positive. Now, on the other side of it, just an example for you is the negative side. Now, anyone that knows me personally will know how much I personally hate TikTok. And the reason why I hate TikTok is because its lack of monitoring, its lack of accountability, along with YouTube, along with Facebook. And it's really important that you see that actually average time per month that active users spent on each of the platforms, you can see from September 2023, that 49 hours and 29 minutes are spent on TikTok. So we know that actually TikTok is really prevalent in terms of the young people and what they're doing. Now we know what it's for. It's for sharing, for watching. It started out music and other things, and it's got more and more of the times gone on. Now, the effects of this on young people is quite stark and it's quite startling. 1 in 5 children and young people in England aged 8 to 25 had probable mental disorder in 2023, and a new survey shows the following. 12 to 14-year-olds who spend over 10 hours on social media per week are 56% more likely to report being unhappy than those who spend less time on social media. Again, spending 3 hours on social media per day puts adolescents at a higher risk for mental health problems. And 30% of children aged 12 to 17 report depression and 30% report anxiety. 25% of 18 to 25-year-olds report mental illness. And these age groups report high use of social media. And finally on this one, it's about 38% of teens feel genuinely overwhelmed by social media drama, and 23% report feeling worse about their own lives, having viewed content on these platforms. Now, what does this mean for us today? Social media is not going anywhere. It's part of their lives, it's part of how they communicate. But the important thing here is, like anything, if we go back to childhood stories like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, It's having just the right amount is what's important. Too much of this clearly has impact on them. And I'll come back to the reason why TikTok and others and their owners and the fact the government really should do something about algorithms and other in a minute. But what we need to do is look how we can model. Now, in school, we're very lucky because we can actually really mind that gap because we can monitor it. Now, many of you will know and would have read Keeping Children Safe in Education 23 and 24 coming out now. There's a huge emphasis as me as DSL to be monitoring and tracking our school uses when students are here. Now, we can do that. The problem you've got is at home. Often that isn't filtered, it isn't monitored, and so young people are able to actually access everything. Now, the irony about this photograph is it actually really goes back to the days where there was one computer in the home, or maybe a shared computer. We all know now that people have got iPads, they've got Androids, they've got tablets, they've got whichever, and they've got their phones. So to just give you a bit of education here at school, what we do in our filtering and monitoring is pretty much what you see here. If you completely block it, that's no good because it stops education. If you put a wall to it so they can't actually see anything, again, it's too much. So we use this analogy of a playground fence. We know that when young people access our computers or their phones are on our networks, it will allow them to go to certain things that we know are very important for their education, but it will block anything that isn't. And the reason for that is it shows that inquisitive parents and children growing up actually being prevented from the outside world with the playground gates, but they can still see it. And I think that's kind of where we are. And another time I can go through with you how we check that and how we do that in school. Your situation is very different. And again, the rest of it, I'm going to just click through some ideas for you and won't read every slide as I have done so far. Here's internet devices. Now, some of these, look, I was saying to Mr. Anderson earlier, maybe they look a bit old because things can move on. But on the whole, I think we've covered that with a picture we've got there. An awful lot of our younger children have switches. A lot of them are online. They're playing games. They're doing all sorts. So what we need to do is be honest and say that we know how much our children are online. What we need to do is minimize that. And what we also need to do is keep them safe when they're online, because when they're not in school, there are probably no settings. Or if there are settings, that's because you as parents have set those up, and it's really important that you do so. And if you don't set those up, it's really important that you are checking and monitoring what your young people are doing, because these are the dangers. The first is the danger that's always been there, which is grooming. Children and online grooming is absolutely one of the greatest concerns of this country that they have, along with other things I'm about to share. We tell the children the same rules. Do not share virtually information about yourselves. Protect your identity. Don't give out personal details, and making sure that you're professional at all times. The problem you've got is that groomers are so expert that actually they're able to infiltrate and penetrate these sites and able to actually get there without the young people knowing, and set up different people as if they are young people. If they're able, they're friends. They come up with, because of their clever nature, actual conversations through other technologies that it makes the young people think it is someone that probably would know them. Now, we go through this with the young people, but it's really important that you do the same at home. And one way you can do that is checking your children's conversations, saying at any point, let me see your phone, let me go through. Now, be absolutely honest with yourself. They might be using language you don't want to see. They might be saying things you might not want to hear, but you need to make sure, and again, don't need to be dictatorial here, make sure that you're happy with who they're talking to and when. The second thing to go through here is about the stats about this grooming and these media sites. So 34,000 online grooming crimes against children recorded in the last 6 years. Okay, 6,350 of a sexual communication with a child offence were recorded last year. And we said about 22, 23 being the last full year that we had. 82% increase since 2017 and 18 when the offence came into force. So 47% of online grooming offences take place on Meta-owned products such as Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp. Why is it? Now, the interest you've got is that when you speak to young people about this, they actually come back to the conclusion that it's all to do with the fact they don't want to be missing out, a word called FOMO. Now, regretfully, FOMO has become something that actually people use as a sort of just to say colloquially, oh, FOMO, missing out. But actually, it is something that's huge for young people. And 4% of adults are unfamiliar with this term. Can I give you context about what this looks like for a teenager? And we know about it here, even for students at St Ambrose. It's the fact that they don't want to switch off their phones because they're going to miss something that's said overnight. It's the fact that they want their phones next to them because they don't want to be the last to like something or to say something or to be involved in something. So I'm going to ask you parents to please be strong here. Don't let your children have their phones in their rooms overnight. I don't care if they say that's not fair. Blame it on me. Use me however you wish to in the school. But the best thing is that they switch off at night and have a good night's sleep. The problem you've got is that young people say that 4 out of 5 major social platforms make their anxieties worse. So think about that 4 out of 5, because they're concerned about growing up anyway. They're concerned about what they look like and where they're going. They go online and they see this world that isn't actually the reality, and it causes more anxiety. So it's really important that we do take on board and help and support and follow what they are on. These next ones, I'm just going to let you see. Half of what we devised here and planned for tonight is to give you information to come back to when we share it tomorrow. So don't worry about making notes things. I'm going to share all of this and the recordings so you can go back through at your leisure to see. Next one, Instagram. Yeah, 13 and above. I wonder how many of our year 7 and 8s are on Instagram. Obviously, it's something that really has been hugely significant for bullying. You said 43% of children have been bullied online because of it. 42% of children were bullied on Instagram. 42% of children were bullied. I've said the same thing, so we'll change that afterwards. Supervision on Instagram has recently been introduced. So luckily it's going in the right way, but that's too late for a number of well-known cases where young people regretfully have died from suicide, and others because of the imagery and things that have been shared on Instagram. Next one, Snapchat. Again, 13 plus. The concerns we've got with Snapchat, and again, you can dive deeper into this when you look at some of the information online that we've got on our website, is again, it's 13 plus because the messages disappear. Okay, so once you send it, message delete after they've been sent. So it's very hard for you to track what's on Snapchat and others. It also enables them people to send videos and messages without worry that it'll come back. The biggest thing is it's addictive, very, very addictive. And also young people can share and do share their location in real time to their friends. Now, it's really important that I'm not going to say I'd like to ban Snapchat, of course I would, but also that they use ghost function if they are doing other things. So if they aren't looking at their privacy apps, that they know that they're not sharing it for everybody. A lot of our young people do share what they've got all the time. The next thing is about Snapchat is that more of the platform is a third offences when site was recorded. So you need to be really clear about the worries with Snapchat. Okay, TikTok. And again, Mr. Anderson knows how I'm concerned with this and how really it has become a real problem. So 61% of Key Stage 3 students use the app. The app's incredibly popular for viral dances, celeb cameos, creative and fan plus. Loads and loads of celebs use it all the time. But the content is created on an account. By default, the accounts are public. Anyone can comment on any post, and often total use roughly 68% are under the age of 24. Now, you've got a few sort of ideas here. And Amnesty International said last year, the research revealed that 5-6 hours of TikTok platform, almost 1 in 2 videos shown were mental health related and potentially harmful. The biggest concern I've got with TikTok, and to be absolutely honest with you, is, as always, is that actually the information that's given and the way the algorithm works, that if your young person, your child, logs on something and follows it, the computer then instantly recognizes what he or he's seen, and it will then inform and send more videos that actually are very, very damaging. So, for example, if they look at something about, I don't know, body image, celeb, whichever, they then will use that information and then send recommended content about losing weight, self-harm, razors, razor blades, supermodels discussions, and suicide. And actually, when we tried this out at a recent meet I was on, it was 4 clicks before harmful imaging about suicide came up from Instagram. And the click to begin with was just looking good. So therefore, for whatever reason, the owners and the people that follow it, or sorry, that create these, are using it in what I would call a very negative way. And so it's really important that we follow that and go through to protect. Moving on to a slide, I was going to just check the chat for 2 seconds there, just to see if we have had any. Just 2 seconds, just thought I'd pause. That's fine. No, we haven't had any, so we'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. So next thing, again, we've already had this a little bit, but I think it's really important. We were saying about grooming, but you've also got about abuse that can happen, and again, the increase in self-harm and suicide. I make it no apology at all that one of my biggest worries as DSL and vice principal at this college is that if one of my young people dies from suicide, and yet I teach and we work in the biggest group in terms of suicide anywhere in the country, from students of aged 40 males to 19 or 21. So we are right there in it. So what we need to be doing is making sure that we're talking with our young people at home, that you're actually speaking to them about what they're doing, what they're looking at, and to, you know, to actually be there for them as they are. Sometimes we think, oh, boys don't care. Of course they care. We all care about what we are. And when we're trying to form who we are at that age, of course, we're concerned about who says what about us. So we've really got to have that conversation with them. With that, regretfully comes this, and we'll know about cyberbullying and just literally just it's been always an issue. Bullying, regretfully, I wish I was at a school that had 0 bullying. What I can say is we have a 0 tolerance to bullying, and it's certainly the lowest of any of the schools I've ever worked at or one I ever went to. But it's really important that we're aware about it. And it's on these sites that students are no longer safe at home because they can say what they can. Now, I would say that the best way to go for that is to talk to young people about it. Is to actually explain to them why people might be saying something. This whole idea of trolling those of celebrities and others is such a vile thing that actually goes through. It's become second nature, isn't it? I think there was a huge thing about when Bukayo Saka took the penalty. There was a huge alert waiting, really, to get at him in terms of that horrible things that happened 2 years ago when he missed the penalty. I think it's really, really significant that we actually teach and say that actually how we can support, how we're there to care for the young people, because it does carry on throughout. And where's it happening? The key 4 places. Why is it there? Because they're not monitoring it, because they don't really care in terms of the people that are doing it. All they're there for is to make money. So again, look at their feeds, look at what they're on. You can't do it with Snapchat. So if I was you, I'd just say don't have it. It's unhealthy. Because if you've got a chance to say something and it be deleted, unfortunately, some of our young people and others from other schools, because bearing in mind they'll have friends from others, will use it in a way that isn't helpful. Now, the solution I give you there isn't huge. It's, again, ownership, responsibility, and conversation. So general effects on our young people. What can be done? Well, there's that obviously nasty name calling. 10% of children aged 10 to 15 have experienced online. Ultimately, nearly 3 out of 4 children have experienced online bullying behaviour, at least some of it at school during the school time or school day. This isn't St Ambrose figures, these are national figures. But what I'd really like you to do is, if you want to, the stronger guidance and controls and how to help are there, and about parliamentary measures. And I've given you that link. The next thing to say really is that recent studies provided insights online bullying among children. Ofcom's 39% of age 8 to 17 have experienced it. The majority is occurring online. It is definitely becoming more online. 84% of these bullying incidents via digital, and then the most common platforms are those messaging ones that I've just mentioned. And the big thing here is 1 in 4 children did not report their experiences to anyone, with reasons for not reporting including not thinking it was important enough and fear of making the situation worse. Now, this goes out to not just online now. If your young person, your child, says to you that they've been bullied or someone said something to you, please speak out. There is a myth that a child will say, oh, it's going to make it worse. It doesn't. We are incredibly discreet. We have ways and experiences to do things. You can contact me, one of the pastoral leaders, a form tutor, just to say, look, this has been said, please act. And we will. We'll act on this because we have done. If you speak to other members, parents have said it before, we will. We really will, but you need to get your young person to say it, because any type of any kind of saying or doing that's unkind is not acceptable at any time. So there's some other ways that you can do if it does happen. And again, it doesn't always mean to just to block and move on. You can do that. Keep safe first. Look at where we're going, but then report it. Right? When we've got there, is school can be liaised with the SSCO. They're actually, we don't have one here at school, but I do have contacts at the police where I can contact them. And we have had it before where when it was someone from outside of school online bullying one of our students, we were able to get there, seize their stuff, and actually act on it. Not to cause alarm, and forgive me some of this here, but I think it's really important you hear it. What used to be called sexting, which seemed like about 5 years ago, it got changed. Sexting was something that actually was something where it sort of made it okay to send it. They now call it youth-produced sexual imagery. Now, please be aware, the statistics show us that 38% of 13 to 18-year-olds have received a sexually explicit message. I think it's even more than that. That was dates that were probably more recent, but I think it's gone way beyond that in the last few months, but I didn't have the most up-to-date to show you. 4% did not see anything wrong with sending it. So topless images, again, doesn't speak to people about St. Ambrose's, but a lot of the boys on occasion have. And 56% are not aware of the instances where images or videos are distributed further. So this is where we speak to the young people straight away. If they share or look or like or move on or push on or whatever it is, they are committing a crime. And we share this with them very, very clearly. If they get sent something of a child, because anyone under 18 is a child, and they share it, they've then shared and produced underage porn, and it is a criminal act. And because most of our children, in fact all of them, are 11 and above, they're beyond the age of responsibility, and therefore it is something that we really need to be clear. We've had the police in before, not that long ago, a few months ago, to explain that and talk to them and share it. Again, not going to talk about it. Where's it happening? These sites. Here's just some of them that you can see. Some really quite tough sort of reading there, and it's to share just the truth of what is going on in and around the country on these social media sites. And yet they can be so powerful and so positive when used appropriately. But like anything, it's about helping our young people to make good decisions. Inappropriate content online. If it was more interactive, we know how many were here. We're now up to 90, which is great. I'd ask for a poll here and ask you to see how many of you think that your children have seen an indecent image online. The reality is, I'd say 100% of them have, depending on how many of our young people from year 6 coming into year 7, but even them probably have seen an indecent image online. Why? Where? Probably in pop-ups, things when they're looking at, when they're on YouTube and others, it will just happen. The other thing is to say that if you haven't checked or gone through your parental logins, then logins for YouTube and others, they'll be able to see it and access it a lot. Online gaming, again, we said about games consoles in their bedroom, 75%, 12 to 15 do have that. Now, the guidance would be to not have that. Yet, I think there is a importance here to access responsibility and going through it. But what I do need to say really clearly is they are not safe. You need to be clear about who they're on with, where they're on, and why. because regretfully, this is a place where online grooming's happened. This is a place where people go on and cause inappropriate language, racism, etc., etc. So again, I'm not trying to be not just saying it because they're a killjoy. The point is, it's about actually accessing responsibility appropriately. And again, there's loads of flyers, loads of information about these games of how you can actually go through. But please, can I remind everybody here, because it'd be a miss of me as DSL not to, is that both of those two games that are there are certificately 18. And that is because of the sexual and violent content. And I haven't even mentioned Fortnite and others, but please be aware, every time you let them on there, you are experiencing and letting them experience things that are way beyond their age of certification. Online gaming then, what about it? And again, I'm not here to make you all feel terrible. That's not the plan. It's about you getting the information you need. This is just an example of how not having correct information on and right settings, what can be done. So a popular game like Roblox was actually then issues. They made a sex room. So somebody created on Roblox, which doesn't have certification. It's something for people to use a lot. A lot of younger children use it. They actually came across this site. All I can say to you is please, please, please make sure that you go through. So family controls, make sure they're built in. Make sure that you actually talk to the young people about it. Customize your chat. Make sure they know who they're with, where they're going, conversations, and monitoring and reporting always. Please be aware that artificial intelligence, AI, is absolutely here. And as I said a moment ago, and I'll repeat about other sources, they are going to be informing and following. So it's really important that people and young people remain safe. Other concerning apps are here. I'm not going to go into huge detail about these here, but please have a read of them because obviously at any point, if you feel your young person is on there, the secret calculator, I think, to be absolutely honest, the young people are on to us about that. But if you do have a look and have a check through their apps, you'll see that potentially that's still there, and it's where it covers up and makes they're actually looking at other things rather than the calculator. Just on all of those, again, just a quick chat, and again, the opportunity for questions are there. There isn't huge amounts to do. It's about safeguarding, it's about communication, it's about the right settings. Now, this one I think is really, really important, which we talk about the young people about a lot, about digital footprints and about their future careers and about what they're doing. Just please be aware, maybe this is for older students, but it's again for all. Anything they do online leaves a trace. It is absolutely clear, and we don't just say it to scare them. And it is quite interesting if you go and Google your own name and your own place and you see things come up, you're like, oh my, I didn't know that was there. Having a very important clear out about your online presence is absolutely huge. You can obviously look at that. But what I really say to young people is about when they're going to things, what they're using, Facebook or whatever, what they say on there could and is used. We're told in terms of ourselves, any employee for education now, I do an online search and to go through the various social media. So please be aware of that. I've deliberately put these in intermittently, so you are just remembered about the dangers of the certain apps, again, which people use for different reasons. So what are the solutions? Well, solutions are about actually ways that we can help and improve mental health. So 10 minutes per day for 3 weeks led to lower loneliness and depression. So if you can, show Instagram snapshot for only 10 minutes per day for 3 weeks actually helps. But reduced social media use to even 30 minutes per day results in significantly lower levels of anxiety, loneliness, sleep problems, fear of missing out, and others. So what I suggest, and again, I can only suggest, is maybe reduce your young people to 30 minutes at most per day. I think that's achievable. I think that's fair. Now, you could say, well, my young person's on the bus for an hour. Some of them are, and God bless them. That's for conversation. Talk to each other, try to do it. I just think it will make a huge difference. And I think it could help. The biggest thing about, we think about young people, sleep deprivation can have a huge thing. I would say the question with there about WhatsApp and how long per day is, I would say the same. Yeah, WhatsApp's difficult because some people are using that communication, and I think it's something, but it is a social media. And so I think it's really important that we try and warrant that. But it's a great question there about WhatsApp, and maybe we'll come back to that at the end. Unless you want to say now, Mr. Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end.
I'll go at the end.
Perfect. Other things just to go through about what you can do. So the red is our solutions to what you've got. So users can create multiple accounts, some fake, go to settings and accounts. Put in appropriate content, easily accessible, search history, your account, filters available, exchanging real beauty, manufactured beauty, provide guidance, no parental controls in Instagram, therefore monitor the content. That's what we think for Instagram. Snapchat, no proper trail. Snapchat messages disappear after 24 hours. So provide guidance, screenshot capture notification, provide guidance. Snap Map enables ghost mode and block individuals from seeing certain posts. So you can actually go through that, and obviously that will be a way to help in terms of parental controls for Snapchat. Yes, you will get a copy of the PowerPoint and the video will be sent to you. Thank you for that question. TikTok, we know what it's for. Monitor the content. Default accounts for public, change settings to private, dangerous challenges, provide guidance. This is all we can do. It's kind of like saying to somebody, when you get into a car, you should put your seatbelt on. Can't really enforce it, but it seems incredibly that people wouldn't. So it's really important that you actually go through and check it. So what can you do? These are the type of things that you can go to. If you need more information, you can, and you can go through as we are. I'm going to fly through most of the rest now of things just really for action, so we've got time for questions, and we're on time. So parental controls. What can you do? How can you do it? That's self-explanatory for you, and I think it's worth you looking through and looking at later. In terms of use account settings, really important. Go to this on computer and things, but others will be there. Actually go through parental controls. Make sure that they are actually set to times to help you. Okay. The biggest thing, and we were talking about this quite a lot, is this. All right. I want to fly through this to get to the deep one about sextortion at the moment. Conversations and trust. All right. I think it's really important that you can have apps that lets you digital ground rules, help guide your children, view activity, manage their apps, set limits on screen time, look at device, see where they are. There are also a number of apps available to download from the App Store that you can help use to track and others, and we will obviously share those with you. Overall, on that part of the information, before I move on to the most alarming, I suppose, in sextortion, is our biggest thing is about conversation and support. So we've been asked to make sure that we go through and share with parents about sextortion. You would have received a letter from us not that long ago where I went through about the prevalent significance of sextortion that I sent out from the Greater Manchester Police and others which direct me. So how can you protect yourself and your son, and what is sextortion? There's a video I'm not going to click now, but when you get it, you can watch, and maybe watch it with your young person. They will have seen this already, but it'd be really important, I think, to maybe have a little watch with them. But what is it? Sextortion is 1 in 3 minors report meeting some of their closest friends online. 1 in 7 minors report sharing something that they've never shared before with an online friend. And 1 in 4, 9 to 17-year-olds report they've had conversations of the flirting, interesting, dating, or romantic variety with people online. What sextortion is very serious, where a person or people of the criminal world deliberately track, monitor, and penetrate, try to get young people to share images of themselves online. By them doing so, they then will send to them information about blackmail, about we've got this, we're going to hold you ransom until you pay X, Y, and Z. So they've warned about hundreds of thousands of educated, significant rise in this. So what does this mean? Well, it means that 2023 case more than doubled, reaching 26,718 compared to 10,730 in the previous year. And victims of all ages, all genders, but a significant number of cases involve male victims aged 14 to 18. Again, red flag, St Ambrose College. When we're looking at 91% of the sextortion cases handled by the Internet Watch, etc. in 23. What does this mean? It means that we've got to be honest and open with our young people and tell them if ever they get asked for or said to do, to share, it's no. I know it sounds really strange, but it's so important. And if you're saying that this doesn't happen, we've had cases of this at this school, which we have dealt with, but it's really important that the young people are aware. The other thing is about something called revenge porn. Now, this is where, and again, we've had this at St Ambrose, where disclosure of private or sexual photograph of a film and disclosure is made without the consent of the individual who appears in the photograph or film and with the intention of causing that individual distress. This is also something that can be worsened or created and obviously been fictitious because of AI and others. So we need to be really careful of it. So what we have to be aware of is to pretty much say to young people, do not share anything of themselves online in terms of pictures. Again, don't communicate with people they shouldn't. But also, if ever your young person, child, goes through a breakup of others, talk to them, share with them how they're feeling, and obviously let us know at school, but never to act in this way. So again, this has been shared with students. I'm not going to go through all of these now, but I think it's really important that you maybe read these and then speak to them about it, because it could be financial, it could be nudes or semi-nudes, whether it's true or not, that this is happening, and it's by a calculated group who genuinely are targeting young people of that age group, because it's 91% of 14 to 18. Rather like you would have heard and known where old people have been victims of people sending emails pretending to be a family member who's stuck abroad, and they're so devious that they will have track moments of young people, their children that have been abroad, and then send these emails. So it's really important that we go through. These are the things I think is really important for you to have a look at in your own time afterwards. You can read the articles and go through about some examples of where we are. So there's a risk facing young people, the significance of growing up, tragically illustrated with Murray Downey, the 16-year-old in Dunblane, who took his own life, having fallen a victim to online sextortion scam. Murray's story highlights the urgent need for increased vigilance, proactive measures to protect. I think it's so important that we actually do have the opportunity to talk, to share, and to go through, because, as I said, dying from suicide is on the up, and it's hugely a problem in our age group of the young people we teach. So please do it. And again, if ever you're in that, please don't get to the point, and I know this, I'm not trying to patronise, please don't say, I will pay it, we'll do it. No, let the authorities know, let us know, and we can go for it, because there's more information there about what to do. Certainly don't pay, and don't stop, stop contact, do stop and contact and block. But it's really important you avoid deleting anything, and then you call 999 if you feel it's a real risk, 101, or you can go to CEOPS Aid Centre there, that's there for you for any attempted. Now, that's 48 minutes of a lot of information. Hopefully, overall summary of tonight is what we're trying to get at is this. You've got the facts, you've got the information, you've got our ways of dealing with it, and it's not envious, to be many of the different generations say, don't they? Or I'm so lucky that you were growing up in a different age before technology. That's not the way of saying it. We should be looking at the positive nature of technology, how amazing it is, but we've got to do it knowing we're protecting. So the biggest things we've got there is communicate, open discussions. When they come home, I'm not expecting it to be like an Enid Blyton home where, oh, my lesson was great today and I really enjoyed it. You're more likely to, But when you do, try to engage, try and talk to them about things. If you read an article, say it with them, how do you feel? Sometimes by saying something like, oh, on social media, they'll, oh, you're so embarrassing, mum and dad. That's a way into them to talk about. Then you can educate, teach them, monitor, but please, 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 private settings, and make sure you report if ever there is any problems going forward. I think the biggest thing here is our community of St Ambrose. We are here not to cause worry, and I hope I haven't. Maybe I have made a little bit of concern, but I don't want that to be the case. I'm now going to go through without talking about it, just to show you what's on the rest of the PowerPoint for you. But we're here really, myself and Mr. Anderson said, but look, we're a Catholic community. We're here with you, and we're here, whatever happens, please speak to us and go through it. But we want to make sure that all of us work together to support and care for our children, because the boys are our children as well in terms of where we're looking for. So just a few things where you can go. Our website's been updated and will continue to in the next week or two. For Mr. Anderson's put on loads on there. There's loads from all over, from Amazon Alexa to all others. real helpful advice. You can click on the PDF or download them however you want, but on our online safety on the website. You've also got all these links here to go through. Swiggle is something that can be safe online. If you use that at home as your home engine, that's already blocked. It blocks certain sites, so it really does keep the young people safe from seeing different things, maybe for using. You've got Internet UK, Safe for Internet. Confide is something you can't click on, but that's something we use in school, and boys use it really well, where they actually send me anonymous messages about how they're feeling. We're able to act about it. Project Evolve, there is something for you to click on to help. And I've said to you about Swiggles there as well as the search engine, but you've got loads of ways also about testing, verifying internet filters, so you can test, your sites and how good they are. Also, I'm just going to signpost you to all these, and again, there'll be loads of literature and websites for you to call if you're in doubt. Wherever you need anything, you can go to it. The UK Internet Centre, we've got loads of information tonight from there. So again, you're most up to date from there, but you can always look. Text now is something you can report, and obviously report remove. If ever your young person has sent, was worried about it, they can obviously click on any of those sites. Also, all these here for you. Difficult situations. I know Samaritans is there, and you might think, gosh, that's only really for when we're in a position of suicide or potential dying for suicide. They're actually there for any support, anytime. And Young Minds is a great tool that we promote to the young people, where they can actually think, reflect, and actually get a bigger picture. And again, these are all online. So it shows you again how important, when used appropriately, we can use the internet to help us. And then finally, you've got National Safety Mobile, and then further reading I've got there. We'll check these and add some more as well, but there's just some links for you to go through how and where and what to help you in this. Right, you've also got social media platforms there to go through, and we give the young people a lot of these as well. And there's some other links and places to go through if you need. So I can rest now, and you can rest from hearing my voice. I just thought it'd be a point now. Either, if you'd like to, you can unmute yourself, and Mr. Anderson, myself are here. What we will do is we'll just have a quick look in the chat now, and we'll also answer those in a moment as well. But we use Capacity Safe Kids and limit overall phone use to 1 hour a day. Access switches off between certain hours, not before. Right, that's really great. Thank you there, Mrs. Burns. We will promote that as well. I think that's really great. And then thank you there, Mr. Towie there. Brilliant information. Thank you for a few other resources parents might find useful. That's great. We'll add those in, Mr. Anderson. Yeah. Well, anything and all. This is us working together as a community. So thank you. Smartphones access until 13, 14, not allowed children. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there in terms of the smartphones, in terms of age and how to do it. It's really important though that we do it safely. And I'd say sometimes smartphones can be really helpful. Like for example, taking a UR code to show your get into a club and things is something we're thinking about doing next year. So I'll have a look at that, and I really appreciate it. Interesting how the school web filter works. Yeah, there is. If you look at my child protection behaviour policy, it's in there. And in short, we use Smoothwall, and I'm happy to put that together. When we put that, I'll put a link for you for that as well. And yeah, the main thing is really in terms of how we do it is it just means that when a child comes on, it hits the firewall, it alerts, it then sends me what they call a capture. It goes to my deputy DSL, Miss Dean. She'll then look at it, and then we then assess whether or not the young person has been on the right site, shouldn't been, and then we go from there. Sometimes it's where they've downloaded something they shouldn't have, and when they go home and things then come in, it then triggers their phone. So sometimes on their Wi-Fi, that then helps us, and then we then put the support in place. Contextually, then we look at PSHE and personal development in terms of doing it. Right, that's God bless you all. 5 to 7. Are there any questions that anyone wants to ask now? Because myself and Mr. Anders will wait 5 minutes.
If there's anything they can think of later on, don't hesitate to contact me and I'll get back to you, no problem.
Yeah, that's great. What I will do is I will send home either a jot form or a link on Microsoft Office, probably a jot form link tomorrow, where I will send for all of you that attended. You can then put your questions in as well. And then what we'll do is I'll then circulate all your questions with our answers so that all of you have it, and we'll share it with the whole community. So if you do have any questions later and you think of it, drop me an email, or when you get the drop form tomorrow, just reply to that. For someone who's not great on phones controls, would it be possible for the school to put a drop-in session on where children's phones had the protections put on? Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine there, Mr. French. That's absolutely fine. If what you need something, let me know, and actually we can then try and see if we can help you in terms of setting up phone logins and things like that. He's talking about how we can maybe set up on their own phones if they're struggling.
All right.
Yeah, okay. So maybe do that online or whichever, that'd be fine, or drop in. Concern as well as self-mentioned. Yeah, I know it's a concern. We're not here to cause too much problems, we hope. Just scrolling for any other questions. Yeah, that's it's really important there, Mrs. Bradley. Yeah, he does not need to have a smartphone. No, in terms of homework, it's all online. So you just need to have a link to log on at home. It's called ClassCharts, and then you can then be able to access it on yours, and he'll be able to do it on like a tablet or something at home. You don't need to have a smartphone yet. And some of our boys, some of the older boys, their parents have taken their smartphones off them, and they're absolutely fine because they've got what we call the bricks of this world. So it's just they can text and phone. That might be a way forward. It's just one of those things about balancing between Mr. Bradley in terms of having the smartphone for the positive things of his, and then not. But you don't need to do that until you decide that.
Just in terms of the smartphone for educational purposes, that isn't actually necessary. There are computers in school. It's a bonus, but it's not actually an essential item. Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about on occasion, it's certainly not part of our school equipment list for that reasons. No, your young people are not allowed to use their phones during breakfast time. As soon as they're on the premises, they're not allowed their phone. But if you've been hearing that they have been, then we'll make sure that the couple of members of staff that are on duty do check that. But if their phone is seen from 8:15 on the premises, it gets taken. They then get a detention. It's held that day. They get given it back that time. The next time they get it kept overnight, and they get another detention. Third time it gets kept for a week, and they get a Saturday morning detention. So most students shouldn't be using their phones at all during the school day unless asked to in their lessons. And please don't worry, because if ever they do get asked to use it, we normally say, could you share for those that don't have a phone, or we provide it, and it won't interact or have a problem with their education. Now, I'm going to, at this point, unless there are any more other questions, I deliberately left the recording on because I thought maybe the questions might be really useful for people watching back, but I'm going to stop recording now. And that is